Hello everyone out there, it's me, GhostCritic. It's Monday, it's question of the week time. I think you all know the drill by now. I ask you a question, you answer it in the comment section below. You ask me a question in the comment section below, I answer it next week. Simple as that. This week, with Halloween approaching, I thought we'd have a kind of comic book related Halloween question. Now you can answer both of these or you can answer one or the other, which way you want to do it. But I want you to pick a comic book character, preferably a kind of superhero, and you can either have them team up or go against a Halloween monster character. Doesn't necessarily have to be out of a comic book. It can be out of a film, though there's lots of kind of films that have transferred onto the comic book page, so I think that'll be quite easy. If you have them team up with your superhero, you know, a team up between a superhero and a Halloween monster, who are they fighting against? And if you have them fighting each other, who wins? And that's your Halloween comic book question of the week. Okay, so on to the questions that you asked me last week. We're going to kick off with Wonky Ninja. He asked me, what Daredevil graphic novel would you recommend? I think the obvious one would be to say Frank Miller's Born Again. He did a great job in revitalising a comic book character that was really kind of very much underappreciated and not really selling well, and he kind of rejuvenated Daredevil and made him a lot more grittier, and obviously did the sales figures a great deal of good at the same time. Something a little bit more recent, I would actually go with from the Bendis and Malieve huge epic run that they did on Daredevil. The story titled Out. It's from volume 2 and it starts with issue 32, and this is when Daredevil's his secret identity was revealed to the press, and we saw the kind of ripple effect that took place from that revelation. I think it's a really good story and really kind of kicked off the whole let's beat down on Daredevil for the next God knows how many years. But great artwork by Alex Malieve and great storytelling by Brian Michael Bendis. Now, Peter Med 51 asked, how long would you like to see Wolverine dead? And who do you want Marvel or DC to kill off next? Obviously, Wolverine has just died in his last little kind of mini-series written by, I think it was Charles Soule. I didn't read it. I know how he died. Dead is dead. I know it's comic books. He's going to come back. They were never going to kill off Wolverine forever. But I don't know. However soon he comes back, it will be too soon, I would expect. I don't think they're going to let Wolverine stay, I don't know, was he encased in that adamantium for long, to be honest. Now, who do I want Marvel or DC to kill off next? I'm going to make myself incredibly popular, or unpopular as the case may be. Let Marvel kill off Deadpool. I don't see the appeal in the character. I've bought stuff with him in before, and it's fun for a while. It's very much the kind of Harley Quinn thing. I don't get the sudden appeal of these two kind of crazy, kind of kooky characters. It's very rare that you see Deadpool written as a serious character. There's always got to be the kind of breaking the fourth wall, speaking to us as the reader, constantly making jokes. The Rick Remender run of X-Force, before they rebooted it yet again, he was very good in that and I did enjoy it, but kill him off. make that dead in Deadpool mean something. As for DC, I would actually love them to kill off Joker. So the writers aren't being so lazy in making him constantly the big bad of things and the centre of storylines. In case in point, Batman issue 35. Clouded Journey asked me, what is your favourite alcoholic beverage? And that was his first question. It does depend on who I'm with, really. It's either going to be whiskey, because I love my whiskey, or it's a good old bottle of red wine. What is your highest value book? Clouded Journey also asked. You know what, I've got no idea, and I don't really care. I know a lot of people buy comics as an investment, and I've never done it. I've never specifically bought a book because I've thought this is going to be worth so much more in the future, and then I'll sell it. I think I've said in videos in the past, you know, there have been times in my life where I've been in debt very badly and I've had to sell so much stuff, and the one thing that I've never sold is my comic books. They are going to be with me until I die, unless this house goes up in flames. That's the only way those books are ever going to leave my side. So I have no interest in the value of my books. Yes, I've spent a lot on certain issues because I've wanted them, and there's been no other way around spending that kind of money. Though I say that kind of money, I would never pay ridiculous, you know, I'd never pay hundreds of pounds for a comic book. So I'm afraid I don't know. Wednesday Serial threw back the question that I asked you last week and asked me who of all YouTube would I like to have a hangout with. He put a little caveat in there that I could pick him if I wanted to, but I've already hung out with Matt, Wednesday Serial. We've already done a hangout, so I'm not going to pick you, Matt. I'm sorry. At the moment, I think it would be quite amusing if me and Joshua Hayes, Bat Josh, had a hangout, given we seem to be at polarising ends of reading Batman at the moment. Every issue of Batman I like, he seems to hate. And everyone that he seems to hate, I like. So I think that would be quite an amusing hangout of us. Obviously, we'd talk about Batman. Spidey Sense 101. He asked me, if you could sit down with any person in the comic industry, who would it be? What questions would you ask them, and what would you want to take from it? This was a tough question. I kind of had to think about this for a while because, you know, it would have to be someone important. I say important in the comic book industry. And when you think of someone important in the comic book industry, maybe not so much, but they certainly have been, you think Stan Lee. And in some respects, I would like to sit down with him. This would be more of a private conversation, so I could actually get not the full press answers. So, you know, I'd ask him something like, you know, even like when you were very hands-on with Marvel, obviously he's kind of taken a back seat now. Even when he was hands-on, did he have any idea that the comic industry would look like it is now? What does he dislike about the comic industry now? Is there anything that he'd have done differently in retrospect? Jack Kirby, maybe. Yes, Dan? What would I take from it? I would just hope that, you know, Stan had maybe a different vision for what was, you know, his kind of empire at the time, I guess. And that, you know, things could have been very different. Yeah, it was a difficult one to answer that. Thank you. Derek Lucarelli asked, if you had to recommend one Batman related story to a friend, which would you choose and why? I'm going to cheat, pick two. I actually picked The Long Halloween. It's one of my favourite Batman related stories. It's good because I don't really think you need a huge grasp of the Batman lore and the kind of mythology and the backstory of him, because it's a story set very early on in his career. And obviously Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, they work so wonderfully together, and you know, both as a story and visually, it's just a treat for any kind of person even slightly interested in Batman. I would, and I know this is going to sound a bit hokey, but I would really let someone read Nightfall. I love that. I really enjoy Nightfall as a series. I know it's ridiculous, I know it's very 90s, kind of over the top, but you know, it was pre-52, a defining moment in the mythology of Batman, where the bat was broken. And you know, despite the kind of 90s trappings around it, I think it's a really really fun story, and it's entertaining, which is what comics should be. Mr. Gretzky 9966 asked, do you feel there is too many movies coming out, and is it bound to implode if some tank? Which ones do you see yourself seeing? Of course there's too many movies coming out, comic book related movies coming out at the moment. It's the same with TV as well. There are far too many comic book related TV shows out and about to come out. But people do keep watching them. So when this implosion happens, and it will, because you know, there's only so many, you know, comic book related movies, you know, that people are going to stomach. Surely they're not always going to be of a super high quality, and you know, there are going to be some, you know, you think Green Lantern, you think Catwoman. I know people think Daredevil, but I particularly like Daredevil as a movie. But you see, this is it. Some people will like things, some people will think they're terrible. It happens all the time. Which ones do I see myself seeing? I'll eventually see them all. You're talking to a guy, or you're listening to a guy who still hasn't seen Guardians of the Galaxy and has no interest in rushing to go and see it. But I will eventually. It's just not an area of this kind of comic book universe that I'm that interested in. But I'll get round to it. Finally, and I'm going to apologise to Sherpanaut with this, I'm only answering half of his question. One, we're going on a bit, and two, I struggled with the first part of it. His question was, or let's say scenario, if you were put in charge of the GhostCritic School for Higher Learning and had to choose 5 new mutants for your squad, who in the YouTube comic book community would you choose, and what would each of their superpowers be? He also asked me to do a kind of reverse one, where it was the kind of League of Super... oh goodness. Evil Mutants. He wanted me to do the flip side of it, but this took a while and I struggled, so you'll get half of it. Let's pick Faintest of Breath to begin with. And he has the ability to make physical sound. So he grabs his guitar, strikes one of those power chords, and you know, the physical sound comes out and it can knock people out. Reader 1717, obviously invisibility. Clouded Journey, he's always going on about his key books, so he has the mastery of keys. He is able to unlock anything that is put in front of him, whether it's safes, it's doors, it's encryption codes. He has the ability to crack them, to open them. Jared Osborne, anything he draws comes to life. That is his mutant power. And finally, Dr. Monkeybot, super spy. He has, you know, the ability to just be a badass super spy, basically, because he's got the whole James Bond look going. He's got the charm. He's got the suave, sophisticated, suited and booted. That's my mutant team. Thank you all very much for those questions. Thoroughly enjoyed answering all those. So if you have a burning question that you want to ask me, put it in the comment section down below, and don't forget to answer the question that was at the top of this. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.